Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of The Show. So on this week's episode, I'm going to work on starting the clutch replacement on my Saab 9.3 Aero Sport Combi. I think the plan for this one is just to try and drop the transmission and get the clutch out, and then on the next one I'll start replacing everything and working towards putting everything back together. While I had some parts removed, I elected to go ahead and clean my engine bay. I also plan to do the bottom side when the subframe is removed. Here's a view of everything that has to be removed from the top of the engine. There's a reverse cutout switch, a vent line going into the shifter, and the slave cylinder, which is a pretty easy, quick disconnect. The hardest part was removing the shifter cables from the bracket. It took quite a lot of WD-40 and force to get them off. overall, getting the subframe out wasn't completely terrible. There were a few bolts for the steering rack that were a little difficult to gain access to. It's amazing how easy the transmission comes out when you actually have all the bell housing bolts removed. There's one on the backside of the engine that is pretty hidden. So that's a wrap on this week's episode. Ended up getting the clutch out of the car, and I think that's where I'm going to end for this episode. It took me about 3 days to get this far, and I just worked maybe 3 or 4 hours a day. I find if I work too long, I just stop enjoying it as much, and the only reason I do this is because I enjoy it. So I think that's where I'm going to end it this time, and I have to work for a few days, and then I'll be back at it and going ahead and we'll put in the new clutch in, but I also have to put the new rear main seal on and placing the control arm, sway arm bushings, axle seals. There's a bunch of stuff that I got while you're in there. And actually, normally I just do everything while you're in there, but this time I kind of waited to see what everything looked like when I got in there before I ordered everything. So I thought the transmission mounts were going to be good, but they're actually both completely ripped and torn. So I had to order new ones of those, which doesn't really matter. I guess the top one I kind of need to go. I can at least get the transmission back on the bell housing, but before I can really get too far into getting everything back together, I need to get those in, so hopefully those won't be too long. But like I said, I'm working a bunch coming up, so it probably is going to be a little bit before I get a chance to get everything back together. But overall, it's pretty easy, no real snags. The workshop instruction manual, which is available free online for all Saabs, was actually really helpful. And there was a few bolts that were difficult just because of access or whatever, but that was the only thing that really fought me. And that's just, I think the key with that is just making sure you have the right tool. You have to have like the perfect size wrench and the perfect size extension or socket or whatever to get some of those tricky bolts, which luckily I'm starting to accumulate. Kind of slowly been buying stuff here and there, and now I'm kind of sort of getting to the point where I have everything for those tricky, hard to reach areas. So overall, just took my time, followed the manual, listened to music, and got the clutch out and everything removed, and I look forward to fixing everything up, replacing all the wear items and putting everything back together, and fingers crossed it will be good as new when I'm done. So I hope you guys like this episode, and if you really liked it, then stay tuned to next time, like and subscribe, do all those things. All right, see you guys later, bye.